Hey mates, in this video I want to show you a hidden codec inside the GH5 that has such a high image quality that you can kind of almost compare it to raw photos. And actually I have a film that I shot in an event where I was doing the double duty of being a photographer and a videographer at the same time, because the image quality is so high that you can almost replace raw photos with still images from that video file that you shoot. And in this video I'll show you how to activate and how to post-process this footage, but here's some sample images from that event I mentioned. Let's go. This codec that I'm referring to is the new codec that came with the firmware update 2.0. It's the OpenGate H.265 codec that will give you almost 5K resolution. And there's two reasons why this codec is not popular, or why is it not rediscovered yet. The first reason is that it's a bit hidden. You cannot find it among the normal codecs or the normal resolutions. Instead you have to dive into the settings and find an anamorphic mode. Yes, this codec is meant for anamorphic shooting, but it works just fine with normal lenses as well, as long as you disable the anamorphic stabilization, in-body stabilization from the menu. And then you can shoot it with any lenses, and it works just like any other codec. Though the aspect ratio is 4:3 because it's the full sensor, but you can simply crop the top and bottom, and you still get much higher image quality than you would get with normal codecs. And another reason why this codec is not so popular is that it's H.265, which is not natively supported by many computers. I noticed that my computer I bought a new computer and it started supporting it, and I can edit it natively in Premiere Pro, for example. Final Cut Pro should support it, and Resolve, at least in the near future, should support it as well. But if your computer doesn't support it, you have to transcode the footage. And then, even though if your computer does support it natively, you still would most likely need to create proxy files, because the compression is so complicated and the file is so big that it's a pain in the ass to edit without proxies. So next I'm going to go to the computer and I'm going to show you how to transcode the footage and how to create proxies for editing. Let's go. And actually, before I show you the transcoding, I just want to show you how good the image quality actually is. In the event that I just mentioned that you saw the footage from, there I had this opportunity to shoot raw photos, so real raw photos and video files at the same time. So now I have an opportunity to compare apples to apples. How good is the image quality compared to a raw photo with the same scene? Okay, let's jump to Photoshop. On the left I have a real raw photo, and on the right I have a still from the video file, and I've shot them back to back. And let's see, this is original, the footage here is originally Vlog, and then of course to get the same colors I'm using the color correction kit for the GH5, which is a pack of lookup table files that I have created, with which you can really get the colors to shine. If you want to know more about it, you can see a link here. But anyway, let's continue. So this is the first thing that we do. We're just color correcting this, and nothing else is done to the footage. So now let's go in and look into some details. For example, this leaf. So here is our raw leaf, and then let's dive into the non-raw, so video leaf. And by looking at these images side by side, it's very clear that the left has more detail and more sharpness. but actually it might not have it, or it might just only seem to have more sharpness. So let's see if we can add more sharpness and see how it would look. So this is now we're seeing the original, no modifications done. And now I'm going to apply simple sharpening effect, and then I'm going to apply another sharpening effect. And now when we look at these, they start to look a bit similar. If we look at this, the raw photo has there has a small edge. For example, here the details on the flowers, on these fine details are more pronounced. But other than that, they are quite similar. And if we zoom out, the differences are pretty much gone. Then let's zoom in again. Let's just check it. This is quite interesting. Let's see this. Let's see, where is it? Just a second. There we go. So these details are quite interesting to look at. So, and then the next thing is that where the video file has an edge over the raw photo is that in video we have many frames. So the camera is exposing many frames inside of 1 second. So we have more data to do better noise reduction. So if I add, this is a layer that I cleaned up with the software called Neat Video, and with this we get the image on the right, so the video file is actually cleaner than the raw photo. And then if we do something that we actually add back grain, because grain gives you the impression or like the illusion of detail. So now I'm adding, this is just a layer of grain on top of the footage. So if I put it on 100%, you can see this is just a layer of grain that I have at 50%, and then I have it on top of the footage. And now when we start comparing this footage, these clips together, I would say that the normal person, not a professional, would not see the difference between these two, the raw photo on the left and the video still on the right. So this is how good the codec is. But there is still, because this codec is this codec is 402 codec, it means that it has less color resolution. So if I add like a black and white layer on top of this, the luminance resolution is actually pretty much the same, or even might look like on the right it even might have just a bit more resolution, which is funny. But if I turn it so that now we're looking at the kind of the color information about of this, here we can say that there's much more detail in the raw photo, because it's actually each pixel has its unique color resolution. But on the right, it's only every fourth picture has actually their own color information. So just some interesting nerdy stuff to nerd out about. Anyway, so next let's look at a place where the raw photo still has an edge over the video file. So here we have some fine hair detail on, actually this is my cousin, you see. And you can see that the hair detail the raw photo has an edge. Not much, but still there's an edge. For example, when you really zoom into the eyes, you can see that the eyes are much cleaner on the raw photo. But to be honest, who goes and zooms into a photo like this that they can see the difference? So that's the difference between this codec and raw photo. So really close. Tell me, what do you think? Is the raw photo much better than the video file, or is they actually on the same level? Okay, it's a new day, so let's continue. I have this test project that is like a mock-up project, and I like to have this kind of a folder structure. I have materials, projects, and done. And inside the materials folder, I have this original footage, which on my computer I can play through. They work natively, so which is nice. But if you can't do that, you have to transcode them. And to do that, you need some kind of a software. I like to use a software called Edit Ready. And the simple reason is that this software is blazingly fast. And it's a paid software, but the free version has only one limitation, and it's that it only transcodes clips less than 1 minute. So if you do some kind of vlog style or something like where your individual clips are not longer than 1 minute, you can just use the free version. If you don't want to use any money, then you can use this other software. It is a Rocky Mountain Movie Converter, which is an open source software. It's a bit kind of like tricky. I'll link a good video here where they show you how to use this software. And then there might be some other softwares for Windows users, so just Google. Google is your best friend when it comes to this. Anyway, because my software, my computer supports these files natively, I will just proxy them. And that means that I will choose, for example, here I will choose a low resolution preset for proxying. I'll add a name to the end, or I'll add a proxy to the end, and then I'll choose the folder, this proxy folder that we just created. This is the same ending that Adobe Premiere Pro will give you to your proxy files. And then I'll just convert. And the reason to proxy is that that will speed up your editing. Like, it will make your editing much, much smoother, even if you would be on a high-end computer. And okay, now that you have done your transcoding and proxying, we'll open up the software that you're using. I'm using Premiere. And then I'll create a new project. Put it into the project folder, and then OK. And now I'll import the footage that we just transcoded and proxied. And now I will just double click this and proxy and attach proxies. And I can attach the proxies from the folder where we created them. And it's possible to create proxy files inside Premiere Pro as well. Just go here, right click proxy, create proxies, and then choose one of these presets. For example, the GoPro Cineform, which is works on Windows and Mac both. But the problem is that because this has a different aspect ratio than the original footage, the footage will be squashed. And for that reason, I have created this 4:3 Cineform preset that will preserve the aspect ratio. And I have that in my download vault, which you can join by joining my email or my messenger list. And you can access the download vault and download that preset to your computer. Then just click here and then go wherever you downloaded the preset, and it should appear here. And now when I create a new sequence and I have this proxies the button pressed on, you can see how smoothly this 5K or 6K even footage scrolls and plays back. And then I would do my color correction, just applying a lookup table from the color correction kit and tweaking the settings a bit. And this is because when we're using the color correction kit, these sliders work pretty much almost like in Lightroom or in Adobe Camera Raw, so making it even more familiar as editing the raw photos. So, and that's about it. And then if I would like to do some more editing or more tweaking to this footage, I would, for example, in Photoshop, I would export a frame, and I recommend exporting DPX format. And the reason is that this is out of these, out of the normal at least from TIFF, PNG and JPEG, this is the only one that will reserve the 10 bits, so the 10-bit information in the footage. So you will have more information in Photoshop if you continue editing the photos like this. And then if you just want to make a normal video, you simply go into this sequence and then open sequence preferences, and then you give the resolution, for example 4K. And I like to have my previews in Apple ProRes. And now you can see that the footage is clipped, and then I just zoom out until 77, where I have now I'm filling up the 16:9 frame. Now you can simply, the same way as you normally would, just edit the footage, and yeah. Okay, so that's how you use this codec, and I want to say that this codec is, when I want to get the highest quality, I use this codec, but otherwise I don't use this codec, because if I'm exporting to YouTube, like this video, no one will notice if you have this extra quality, and it will give you like extra steps in your editing process, and it will make your rendering time speed longer. So I don't recommend always using it, but if you want to get really good quality, like if you're doing a feature film, then I would recommend using this codec. And what do you think? Is this codec good or not? Just tell me in the comments if you're going to use this codec. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.